Hello there, welcome back to the channel, hope you're safe and well. In this video we're going to be talking about airgun tools and maintenance. Let's roll those titles. Now, whether you intend to do any maintenance yourself or pass your rifle off to be serviced and repaired to an expert, there's always little bits and pieces that you can do yourself, and you need a few tools and bits and pieces for that. And there are also other things that you're going to want to do every time you take your gun out your case. So we're going to talk about all the little bits and bobs that you might want to pick up along the way that you'll find useful for maintaining your rifle or your pistol or whichever air weapon you shoot. Now, bear with me, there's method in my madness. Considering the time of year, if you're anything like me, approaching Christmas, all your friends and family are going to start coming to you saying, "Oh, what's on your Christmas list? What do you want me to get you for Christmas?" And if you're anything like me, you can never think of anything. So a lot of the things that we're going to cover in this video are ideal stocking fillers and things that you can say to your relatives and stuff. "Oh yeah, you know, you can buy me that, fancy that." So what I've done is most of the stuff that we're talking about now I put links to in the description so that you can sort of share that link out with somebody and say, "Look, you know, that's on my Christmas list." Just so you're aware, there are affiliate links, so if you do buy anything through those links, they're all through Amazon, then I'll get paid a few pennies which go towards the upkeep of this channel. So just to be open and transparent. So let's get started then. So first things first, one thing, good practice that you should always do whenever you've finished shooting your rifle, let's give it a wipe down with some oil. Now what I use is this Legia spray. When I bought my first air rifle, I went in the gun shop and I said, "Look, you know, what should I be using to spray down my gun before I put it away after every shoot?" And this was what was recommended to me. Now there are other sprays on the market. Napier do one, and there's also Ballistol, which I think a lot of my American friends use. But this one, basically, you can spray it on metal, wood and plastic, so it will go on all the metal work on your rifle. If you've got a wooden stock or a synthetic stock, doesn't matter, still works on that. Basically what you do, give the gun a good spray down with this, leave it for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you get your rag and wipe it off. One good tip here, this is my oily rag. Always use the same rag. Yeah, you can smell the oil on it. Always use the same rag to wipe it off, and then eventually you'll get to a stage where your rag will be pretty I mean, this isn't sort of like silly oily, but it's pretty impregnated with oil. So if you're out on the range and you don't want to carry your spray can about with you, you can just put your oily rag in your gun bag and use that to give it a wipe down. Okay, so that's the first thing then, oily rag. What have we got on the list? Yeah, if you want to spray your rifle down properly, then obviously it's a lot easier if you have something to rest your gun on while you're doing it. Now in my other videos you may have seen me use this thing. This is my homemade gun rest, just made with a couple of scraps of plywood that I had in the workshop, and just put some foam on it or whatever. So they're pretty easy and simple to make. If you don't want to make one, then you can buy them, and they're generally plastic with rubber ends. There is a link to a Nighthawk one that's pretty reasonably priced in the description, but a very useful bit of kit to have. I use this hell of a lot. I probably use this more than any other tools that I've got, because you know, if you're out, if I'm going out shooting in the garden, I don't want to leave my rifle rested on the shooting table or on my shooting mat. Then I can put this on the table or on the ground in the conservatory, and I know the rifle's going to be safe sitting in here and it's not going to topple over or anything. And later on, when we get to toolboxes, I'll show you how I use this in one of these, or a rest like this, in conjunction with the toolbox as well. So that's the next bit then. Moving on. Oh yeah, just forgot. If you're looking for something like this, then you need to be searching for. They call them gun butlers. Okay, you can get these that have actually got like a tray, so you can keep all your cleaning gear in a tray with a handle. With the two ends as well, and I'll link to one of those in case you're interested in one of those. So while we're on about cleaning then, one of the things that you're definitely going to want to do, the first thing if you buy a new rifle, and also if you buy a second-hand rifle and you don't know where it's been or what it's been used for, the first thing that you want to do is clean the bore of the barrel. And to do that, you're going to need a pull through, which is one of these. Basically a handle, bit of cord that you put down the barrel, and a little loop so you can put your cleaning papers in. Now these come in many forms. If you're a fisherman, you've got a bit of a fairly thick fishing line lying about, then you can make a pull through by just tying a loop in both ends of that to pull through. When you use these, I won't go into too much detail, because if you search online, there's plenty of videos on YouTube showing you how to use these. You always push through the muzzle end, so you're pulling through from the breech end towards the muzzle. Okay. One thing that I've just found online, actually a tip that I got, well not online, actually, is on one of the airgun forums, which I thought was was quite a good tip. Up until now, I've been using these paper pull through tabs. You put those through the loop and soak a bit of oil in them. And I've been buying the big sheets and I cut them to size. But recently on the forum, somebody suggested using these things. Now what these are nail wipes that the nail bars use. These are lint free, and you can see the perfect size. And I think there's like 900 in here for a few quid. So, you know, cheap way of keeping your gun clean. You haven't got to worry about how many pull-throughs you use and reuse them. The patches you can pull through and quite easily, you know, throw each one away once you've used it. So, little sort of money-saving tip there. If you want to combine, you know, the pull-through stuff and the oil as well, then a company called Napier make a really nice little pull-through kit with a tin of spray oil that you can use for, because say this oil, this Leisure, this is what you spray on your tab before you pull it through your rifle, so it's cleaning your barrel from your inside as well as the outside. So as I say, Napier do a kit with the tin of spray, a pull-through, and a load of tabs in a nice little case that keeps everything all together. That makes a perfect Christmas gift for yourself as well. So I've linked to that in the bottom there in the description. Take a look at that. So what we've got next on the list then? Yeah, okay, we'll start talking about a few tools then. Now, over a period of time, once you started buying a few sort of bits and pieces, scope attachments and scope mounts for different scopes, you're going to end up with a collection of these like little short Allen keys, which are probably fine when you first fit your scope mounts, but you know, for long-term use, probably not great. So what I've got myself is I've got myself this set of hex keys, all sized, all in this little container with the longer arms. You've got the rounded ends off and then the straight ends, and I use this all the time. It's a lot more convenient just to grab this and know that you've got all of your sizes rather than root through a bottom of a toolbox and try and find the right size Allen key from all these that you got when you bought your scope mounts. So one thing to say about these, as you probably know, sometimes when you try and get to an Allen key to tighten it up, you can't always get directly above it. You might have to come in at a slight angle. These have got the rounded ends, so you can tilt them a little bit. I would warn, you do need to be careful when you're using these rounded ends that you don't round off your Allen key that you're turning. So you need to be careful, but it is handy to have these. So while we're on the subject of Allen keys then, I've found through experience that when you're dealing with like socket head grub screws that you want to undo and do up, for the most part the grub screws are steel, and a lot of times what they're screwing into is aluminium. So you've got to be very careful when you're lining up and you're screwing in your grub screw that it's perfectly aligned with the thread in the aluminium, because otherwise you'll cross thread it and you'll strip that thread out in the aluminium, and that could work out a bit expensive if you have to replace that part to get a new thread. So I found from my own experience that using this type of Allen key, it is difficult sometimes getting that straight alignment. So what I did is I went out and I bought a set of screwdriver Allen keys. Now the nice thing about these is often the grub screw will fit over the top of that quite tightly, and it's a lot easier to keep that grub screw perfectly aligned when you're screwing it in and you're screwing it out using these screwdrivers. And this set, it goes from 1.5 up to, what's the biggest one, up to 4, which are all the sort of main sizes you need. So I've linked to a set like that as well. You might be interested in that. I do find these really useful. And on the same sort of topic really, you might find as well nowadays a lot of the grub screws in particular don't have the hex head. They now are starting to have these star point heads in, the Torx heads, and particularly as well the stock on my Wolver Rain, they are all, if I want to take the stock off to do anything with the rifle, they're all Torx head screws as well. So similar to the other set, I've got a set of these screwdrivers, different sizes, go up to T10 for all these small hex head grub screws. So it's another thing that you might find useful. So that's hex keys and Torx head screwdrivers then. What are we going to talk about now? Oh right, okay, yeah, while we're on the subject of Allen keys and hex heads, torquing your screws up, particularly when you're mounting scopes, you need to be very careful that you don't over torque the your scope rings so you don't damage the tube on your scope. Now you've probably been shown that if you're using a traditional Allen key, then you use the short end, so you shouldn't be able to, you know, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you shouldn't be able to put too much torque on that short end and therefore over torque the bolts on your rings. You don't want to be using the long end with the leverage because you'll be using too much. So the ideal really is to get yourself a torque driver and then set this up and use it so that you know that you're setting the rings up to the exact torque recommended by the manufacturer. This one I saw a long time ago being used by another YouTuber and bought exactly the same one. Never had a problem with this, it's great. You've got the little scowl on the top there. What you do is it comes with a little socket and arm, and you put that in the bottom, and you you twist that round and you set the torque up on the screen with a little red bar. For sports match mounts and most other scope mounts, they give you the torque settings on the back of the card that the rings come on. Now this is in Newton meters, so you might have to use like an online converter to change the inch pounds into Newton meters. But I've got it written on a bit of paper in the lid here so I don't forget. On here it tells me that sports match rings are 1.7 Newton meters and the clamps are 4.3. Now what I tend to do is I tend to line that red line up no more than 1.5, so just over the one dot, and then what you do is you put your right size Allen key in, you'll put that in, and then eventually when it gets to the right torque, as you twist this it will click and you know that the torque's set right. So highly recommend that. That comes with a set of different size Allen keys, and you've got some star bit sizes in there as well. So that's a really handy thing to have. And I put a link to this exact item in the description. I could thoroughly recommend this. Really good, reliable set to use. So let's put that back in there away. So what's next on my list then? Yeah, okay. Another set of tools, not necessarily essential, but nice to have, especially if at some time in the future you're going to start playing around with your Springer rifles and you need to either change the spring, or you want to service it, or you want to put a new piston seal. And they tend to have little rods that you, pins, not rods, they are held together with pins. To get the pins out you need a punch set. So I've got this set of punches here. This runs from 3/32 up to 25/64, which is 2.4 millimeters to 10 millimeters. So hopefully I've got all the sizes that I need there of punches to punch pins out. So say not an essential, but nice to have in your toolbox on the odd occasion. You know, having the right tool at the right time is what it's all about, isn't it? So we're buying all these tools then. One of the things is it'd be nice to have something to keep it all together. So what I've got and what I use is this toolbox made by Nighthawk. I'm just going to grab here and bring over and show you. And this is my sort of like Aladdin's cave of bits and pieces. Now this is a 2-compartment box. This has been a godsend for me, because this is cavernous and everything that I've shown you here goes in here and a lot more. So opening the top there, we've got these removable trays to start with different compartments. So you can see I've got the levels, I've got the bits off the end of muzzles, I've got some magazines and bits and pieces in there, O-rings, little bottles of oil and grease and stuff, and then all the tools. So all these tools I was showing you, these sets, they all go in there. And plenty of room there for those, but that's not all. Remember I said earlier about how you can combine the stand? Well, if you undo the clips on the side of this and you lift the top off, you've got access to the cavernous bottom, which is where I keep all my big bits, like, you know, my can of oil and everything, the oily rag and all that goes in there. But not only that, it comes with an adjustable gun rest. So you've got one end for your butt, this is like plastic with a rubberized attachment on it, and then this end, there's 2 different levels depending on how you want to get your level going. So this is a really great bit of kit. It's got rubber feet on it, so it's not going to damage your table. You've got all these space, because say I've got all my mounts. I keep my bits of card that come with me scope mounts, so I've got all my measurements on the back to refer to. So yeah, this basically has got more than enough room to put all of your tools you're likely to have, so you've got everything in one place, and it's easy to, you know, it's not massive, and it's easy to sort of like hide away somewhere in the corner under the stairs or whatever, and you can get to it to get everything you need when you need to do your bit of cleaning and your maintenance. So I highly recommend that. Say, you know, paid my own money for this and haven't regretted buying it at all. Good bit of kit. That's linked to also below if you're interested in looking one of those. You want to get your loved ones to buy you one for Crimbo. So that's tools and toolboxes. Another super essential tool that we need to talk about now as well, but I'll just move this out of the way. And we need to talk about chronographs, okay? Because I would regard a chronograph as an essential tool. You know, when you're shooting a sub-12 air rifle, it may be optimised for one pellet, and you may not realise that if you start using a heavier pellet that it's going to take you over the legal limit and everything. So we don't want to get caught, do we? So I would recommend that you really should have a chrono so that you know what the power output of your rifle is before you take it out. Now the one that I started with is, you might have seen these, the super cheap Chinese Wonder. I think these are about 20 quid, you can probably find them cheaper. And I began with one of these and started using this, and a lot of people use these and it's fine, okay? There are some limitations. This one that I bought was one of the early ones, and the readout is only in meters per second. So what you needed to do was to use a converter, either on your phone, a power converter, or on your computer, to convert meters per second into either feet per second or straight to foot pounds. Because some of these converters you can put your pellet weight in as well. So you put your meters per second in, put your pellet weight in, and it'll tell you the foot pounds. So I used this one for a long time, and then I didn't even notice that I'd done it. But you've got these little LEDs or detectors or something that shine up above that measure the distance when the pellet passes over, and I managed to shoot this one or break it. I'm assuming I shot it. I don't know how I managed to shoot it, but I managed to break that one because I was using these muzzle things, these 3D printed muzzle things you put over your muzzle to make sure that your pellet was directed right. So I don't know how I managed to shoot that. I suspect it just might have got broken or knocked or something. So I was left in a situation where I needed to replace this and to get something that was reliable and quick and not too expensive. And what I did is I looked online at what other YouTubers were using, and one of the recommendations was this Ace Tech AC5000. Now this is advertised as an airsoft chronograph, but it has no problem dealing with airgun pellets, works perfectly fine. And I've been more than happy with this one. It's powered by batteries. I've still got the same batteries in it as when I first bought it. It's got the little camera tripod screw thread on there, so you can put it on the tripod to line it up with your barrel. If you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me using this with my rifle on this stand and this in front of my backstop box. With using a little mini camera tripod. Now, the nice thing about this is you see the hole at the front. The hole at the back is a lot bigger, so you're not going to shoot anything at the back. You can actually fit the muzzle of a rifle inside there, and even a moderator will fit straight on there. And I've never had an error with this at all. When I was using this, occasionally you would get an error. and I've seen people shoot with much more expensive chronographs than this, and they will get errors, so they've wasted shots, so they'll have to go back. But I've never had an error with this. You can set this up with 5 different pellet weights, and then it will remember the pellet weights, and you select which one you're using for when you're chrono in your rifle. It will remember, I think I'm right saying, it remembers up to 40 shots at a time in the memory, but once you switch the power off, that memory's forgotten. So what I tend to do is I tend to shoot 10 shots at a time, and then get a piece of paper and write those down. But this will give you feet per second, joules, and I think you can set it for meters per second as well. Yeah, I would highly recommend this. I think these, I put a link to one of these below, but these are about £50, right? Now, obviously, there are more expensive alternatives. I know some people are going to be jumping up and down saying, "Oh, what about the FX Chrono, and what about the, LMBR and stuff like that?" Well, yeah, the LMBR is nice. It's a bit more expensive than this because it's all metal. But they do the same job. There's not too much from whenever I've seen anybody compare them. You're only talking about 5 or 6 feet per second difference in the readouts. You could go the whole hog and you could buy one of these fancy FX radar chronos at, I think they're what, 160, 170 pounds, so over 3 times the cost of one of these. The problem with those is that a lot of these chronos, you can't shoot them indoors, inside. You need to be on a range, because you need to have some distance from the end of your barrel. Or with the FX chrono, it's a radar chrono, so it needs the pellet to be travelling for it to detect the speed. With this, as you've seen on previous videos of mine, I can set it up on the barrel inside, on a table indoors, with my backstop box or in my workshop, and you can get an accurate reading inside, which is for the most part a lot more convenient, and often how you want to use your chrono to make sure that your rifle's legal. So that's something to be to be thinking about when you decide what you want to buy. But it's like anything else, you pay your money, you take your choice. But personally, I'm quite happy with this, and I'm sticking with this, and at the moment no intentions of replacing it with something that costs 3 times the price. So that's a chrono then. Have I got anything else on my list? Oh yeah, one last thing. I should have covered this earlier on, and this has been in front of you all along, is if you're going to do any work on your gun, then obviously you don't want to be scratching your kitchen table. You could put a towel down. Yeah, you could use a towel, or an old bit of sheet, or a bit of cardboard or something. But these gun mats, this is a Viper tactical mat. These ones, they're made of neoprene rubber, non-slip on the table, and you've got this nice graphic. I've got the AK-47 one, but you can pick rifles and get the exploded view over. I think if you shop around, you can get one of these for under a tenner. There are different gun mats for by the main rifle manufacturers that you can buy as well. But that's a handy thing to have. Nice thing about that as well is that when you put your screws and your bits and pieces on that you take apart, they don't roll about on top of this surface. Although, top tip, get yourself a box or a little pot to put your bits in, then you're not going to lose them. So that's the final thing then, the rifle mat. Let me just check my list. Have I gone through everything? Yes, I have. So there we have it. Tool and maintenance tips for you. Oh no, wait a minute. Got a couple of things in, they're not on the list. Right. Black electrician's tape. Make sure you've always got some of that in your gun bag. This is great for making sure that once you've set your diopter setting, a lot of scopes, the diopter doesn't have a lock on it, and it can quite easily move if you're not careful, especially if you're shooting HFT and you're putting your gun backwards and forwards inside your bag. And of course with HFT you can't adjust your scope, so a bit of black electrician's tape round your diopter to set that, then you know jobs are good and it's not going to move. If you use a scope enhancer, the old rubber things on there, some people use cable ties to hold them on, but I use a bit of this on the end to hold it in place. So that's a handy item that's cheap to pick up and keep it in your gun bag. And I've just got one of these actually. I don't know how I managed that. I think I've been using like toothpicks, but this is an O-ring pick. So if you need to get in the little grooves to pull the O-rings out on your rifle to put a new O-ring in, or to just check the condition of it and give it a bit of a grease with a little blob of silicone, then you know, I think yeah, a couple of quid for one of these, handy thing to have in your toolbox. So looking around, that is definitely it. I've got nothing else on the table to talk to you about. So that's all I've got for you in this video. This one's a little bit of a shorter one. You're probably all relieved to realise. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget all the links to some of the things that I've shown you, or similar things, are in the description. Go and have a look. Stick them on your Christmas list, and I will see you in the next one. So bye for now.